What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Double Dip Show today. Welcome back to the LTL podcast. It's episode 40. It is July 26, 2023. And we're going to jump back on Rex Heuermann, the accused Long Island serial killer. How is everybody doing? I hope everybody had a fantastic day. Brenda's in here. Jessica's here. Lakota's here. Marlon is here. We have Dina in the house. Michelle is here as well. Freya's here. Lily Black. Danielle's filling in, and so on. Well, today was very interesting in the LTL podcast world. In case you missed it, I had an amazing interview with former FBI special agent and News Nation contributor Jennifer Coffindaffer. It was a podcast that I had been working on behind the scenes for quite a while, and it kind of came together very quickly today. Jennifer and I had been corresponding via Twitter, through the messaging section of Twitter for about maybe a week and a half. And the last contact I had with her was on Friday of last week. And our communication went cold. And I was like, oh no, I don't think this is going to happen. So I started to kind of get it out of my head that it wasn't going to happen, because I like to prepare for my shows, especially if I'm going to have a great caliber guest on. So, I didn't really prepare. I didn't really think that it was going to happen. And then at about 10:30 this morning, as I was live following the Taylor Shabusiness case, I get a response from Jennifer saying, I have an open slot today at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I literally scrambled. I was like, oh shit. So I'm in the middle of that live. I literally tell my audience, like, hey, I got to cut the show short. I have an extremely big guest that's going to be on the show today, and I had to go. So I get done with that live, and I start kind of scrambling because I'm not prepared. I don't have questions right now. I haven't thought of anything. My mind is completely blank. Now, like, my heart's racing. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be such a big interview. I have to prepare for this. So literally the first person I reach out to is Laura, one of my mods. And I'm like, I have Coffindaffer today. And she's like, oh my God. And I said, my mind is completely blank right now. I have no idea what I'm going to ask her. So she was so kind. She fired off like 3 questions to me, and that kind of inspired me. So I was like, oh, great. I can use these. Plus, this is a catalyst for things that, like, questions I can ask. So I was texting with Laura, and then literally hit Tanya up. I was trying to keep the cat in the bag, but it's a big guest, and I just wanted to get like another perspective from a YouTuber. And I was like, hey, I have Coffindaffer today. She's like, no way. So I called her. Let me get a drink here. So I called her, and I said, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not prepared. And she's like, anything you need, just let me know. I'll help you. And I was like, well, I have a couple of questions that I can build off of. So she's like, yeah, if there's anything you need, like, you're going to be fine. Don't worry. So I respond back to Jennifer Coffindaffer at about 11:30 this morning. And now I'm waiting. I have no response. I'm like, oh no. Cause I know she's super busy. I'm sure she gets 1,000 messages a day to answer. But I'm like messaging Tanya. I'm texting Tanya, and I'm like, I haven't heard anything back. Like, I don't know if this is going to happen. And she's like, don't worry. She's going to respond to you. So literally at about 3:00, I get a response from Jennifer, and she's like, I can do the show at 5. I'm like, holy shit. Like, now I have to really come up with questions. So I get questions together. I tell Tanya, like, everything's cool. Tell Laura, like, everything's cool. I had a couple of my other mods kind of reaching out to me. I was kind of telling them what was going on, but I didn't want to post the show until it was 100% like in stone that it was going to happen, because I didn't want to put the thumbnail up and then something falls through. I just really wanted to make sure everything was good. So Jennifer and I talk again through email. Through Twitter. Everything gets locked up. I told her, like, pre-shows like 4:45. I come into my room, and I'm not used to streaming like midday, and the sun is literally on my back windows, like blaring in. It's weird. The sun rises on this side of my house, and then my bedroom's here. So at midday, the sun is literally beating through I turn my cameras on, and it's stark white in the room. Like, oh my God, the lighting is terrible in here. So I'm literally scrambling out to make a stage in my room. I'm so lucky. I have like these fleece blankets, and I had like 2 of them. So I blocked the windows off to make them look like drapery. So if you go back and look in the video, you don't see like my normal drapes. It's like these blankets that I have, but it worked out perfect. It looked great for like a set. Blocked all the light out I needed. So it looked like I was in complete darkness. So Jennifer gets in the room, like Jennifer gets in backstage where, I've never met her before. It was a little bit uncomfortable. She's trying to figure out her Wi-Fi because she was having connectivity problems. And we just start kind of riffing, and I'm just asking her some questions, and she's like, "Are we live right now?" I'm like, No. I'm just getting to know you. And she's like, "Oh, okay." So we're like talking, and then I just kind of told her what I was going to do. I put her backstage and bring her in, and hit the live button. And the minute I hit live, I had all these tabs open, and the live starts playing, like the playback starts playing, and I'm hearing all this multiple like feedback and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna like fuck this up. I'm gonna fuck this up. And I'm like, I literally have 40 seconds to figure all this out before we're live on air. I have a high-powered guest on my show, and I'm gonna screw this up. And you can see it if you go back and watch the replay. I go, oh my God, I am having connectivity problems, but I literally figured out in about 10 seconds, and then the show just rolls from there. And I told Jennifer, I was like, I am nervous right now. Like, I'll be honest with you, I am nervous. And she's like, don't worry about it. We're just going to hang out and have a good time. Like, there's no pressure. She was very sweet, very kind. And from the first question, my heart was beating out of my neck. But then as the show kind of went in and we got comfortable and kind of settled in, it was like perfect. And I thought it was just a great show. The audience that came over and watched today was amazing. The chat was great. We pulled up some amazing questions, and she was just really excited. And she wrote me back. I wrote her kind of a long thank you, probably longer than I should have, but I'll read her response to you guys. So I just basically in context, I wrote her, I said, hey, thank you for being on the show. Everything went really great. I'm getting great feedback. The audience loved you. You thought we were great. And she had a very nice short message. She said, Brian, thank you so very much. I am humbled by your comments. I found you to be an exceptional podcaster. Thank you for having me. I thought that was really nice. And who knows, maybe this opens up the doors to some other big guests. And I would love at some point when the Idaho trial gets going and we start hearing some trial footage, that I'll have Jennifer back on the show. I'll ask her to come back on, and I don't think she'll have any problem doing that. So really, really great time. Really great overall feedback. It was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun for me because this was my intention of LTL podcast. And I understand it takes a lot to work on those big guests and get them here. It takes a lot of trust and a lot of time of talking to them and getting them here. But that's literally what I did today, is what I wanted LTL to be about. And that's what I want it to be like, the show format going forward. Just interviewing people, interviewing guests, and getting their side of the story and their expertise on these particular things. I know I saw like today, someone was talking about like, why don't you have true crime in your name? I don't want to put true crime in the podcast name because I don't want to limit its potentiality. Yes, I cover 99% of the topics on here is true crime, but someday the podcast may turn, it may meld into something different. And I didn't want to put true crime in here. So that's why I kind of have this basic name of like, Let's Talk Live podcast, because it's a live show and we talk. I know it sounds generic, and I've shortened the name. LTL I think is great. It's a nice great acronym for the name. I love the LTL podcast. But that's really why I haven't put true crime in it, because I think that this channel can be so much more. I think it can expand out past, this community that we've built here, and make it a bigger community. I have bigger plans for this channel because I ultimately don't, at some point in my life, I don't want to work for anybody else. I want to work for myself. This is my dream to do this. And it's going to just take a lot of hard work. It's not going to happen overnight. And hopefully I can catch, like I did today. Today was a break. I caught a little bit of a break today, but I did a lot of research. I did a lot of hard work into it. How to handle a caliber of a guest like that, how to reach out to a caliber of guest like that. That's all the things that go into this. It's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, I work a full-time job, 50, 60 hours a week. And then I come home and try to stream every single night for all of you. And because I love doing this, I literally, when I get into work, I cannot wait to get out of work and come home and stream. I love this. This is my life. So that was my day. We had aliens today. We had the panel on, I was watching on C-SPAN a little bit. They had that congressional hearing about the whistleblowers talking about aliens, which is crazy. I haven't been able to go back and watch the whole thing because I literally had to prepare for Jennifer today. But that was crazy as well too. We had a naked lady out in San Francisco, I think, today on the highway shooting at people with a handgun. I saw a video on Twitter about that. That was pretty crazy. And that's where we're at. So tonight we're going to talk about the Long Island serial killer. There's been some new shocking details that have been breaking every single day here. And before I get into that, I just want to recognize some of the people in chat. And I have to say this too. I want to thank all of the supporters over the last couple of days and weeks that have sent donations through the PayPal account. I appreciate that. It's not that I don't recognize you. I do. Thank you so much. I appreciate all that. I appreciate all the new members that have come in as well. And, the channel is growing, and that's what I want. I just want this channel to get out there. I want it to grow. I want to get it in front of, the audience that it deserves, because I think that we have a great thing over here, this little community that we have. And, the podcasts that we put together is really good stuff. Let me go up in the chat and just get some reaction today as how everybody felt about Coffindaffer. And I'll pull some of the chats up. Let's see. So let's go here. Very impromptu. Yes, it was very impromptu. It was an amazing interview. Thank you so much. I could tell you did your homework. Thank you. I appreciate that. It was a super great interview. Awesome that you got her on. Thank you. Where's my hat from? So this hat is from a company called Field Grade, and they're kind of like all over the place. They're up here in a store called Expressions. I don't know if you have that around you, but yeah, it's called Field Grade. Congratulations, Brian. Thank you so much. Yes, she was very generous. The interview went so well. Thank you. I appreciate that. The surprise was exciting. Yeah, it was very exciting. It was very much a surprise for me as well too. Carrie H said I did great. Thank you. She said we asked FBI level questions, and you did. It was just really, she was really happy with the questions, and I was too. It was just really great. Bella says, excellent. Welcome to the big times. Yeah, we're getting there. You're still buzzing. I am. It was just a great show. I was watching the interview till you came live. Very good interview. Thank you so much. Yes, Laura had her hands in that today with helping me. She said, enjoy Laura on your show. Smart cookie, good researcher. Absolutely. Laura's been a little busy this summer, spending time with her family, and I'm sure we'll have her back here at some point. She said, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. Crazy Grandma said, you did an amazing job. Thank you so much. She's generous with her time. Yeah, she was very nice. I said, I asked her, I said, do you want to do like 30 minutes? And she said, no, we can go to the bottom of the hour. And if we go a little over the hour, that's perfectly fine. It's funny though, because as I was interviewing her, I literally I couldn't keep an eye on the chat. I was really trying to focus on her and focus on the camera and just really listen and engage her. But if you notice off to the left, I have the time. So I was being very conscious of that too. I didn't want to keep her over an hour. Because I wanted to be, just be courteous to her time. And I kept keeping an eye on it. And I ended it like exactly about an hour. It was almost perfect. And it was just a perfect length and perfect time. And, and just to give some feedback about the questions, I did pull questions up at the end. It was so hard because the chat was going very quick. I had seconds to look at them and literally pull them up, of ones that I thought were great. I didn't want to seem like I was skipping anybody's questions. I know someone had commented earlier about that I pulled up, two of Laura's. Well, Laura is a very good friend of mine. And I wanted her to get her questions in there because she deserved that. She's spent countless hours on this panel with me, and I wanted her questions to get in there to an actual expert on this subject matter and get some answers to things. So she really deserved that. And I didn't want to take away from that, especially today too. She was very helpful, answering the questions. I was like, what do I ask her? And she submitted some questions to me. So I wanted to have her shine as well and ask her questions. And, like I said, it was very tough. I literally just wasn't able to concentrate on the chat today, because I really wanted to focus on Jennifer and her expertise and feedback. So Daniel says, Brian, you're doing amazing. Look how much sub count has risen. The podcast gets better every day. You work hard and it's paying off. Thank you so much. You let her talk, just like you said. Great interviewers do. Yeah, the best way to interview someone is just shut the hell up and let them talk. I looked cool as a cucumber. Thank you. It was not. I was literally shaking. I felt like I was going to throw up. And here's another note. Literally about 15 minutes before we end the interview, I started getting the worst migraine of my entire life. I get migraines, not pretty often, but every once in a while. But when I get them, they're awful, and I can't believe that I made it through there. I literally got off air and just got nauseous, and I wanted to throw up all over the place. But I didn't want to falter. Hey Jude said, I've seen her on other creators' channel, and she was usually around 30 minutes. She gave you over an hour. Yeah, that was really great. Shani says, I love hearing behind the scenes of your experience. It was pretty cool. Yeah, it was. She's very humbling. You did fantastic. Thank you. I hope your sub count starts soaring. Me too. Me too. The name is perfect. Everybody loves the name. We're going to keep the name. I like Let's Talk Live. You can branch out, as you said. Yeah, I think so too. I'm so proud of you, Brian. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Appreciate you. Hi, Brian and the mods. Woohoo. Made it to another live. To one of my other favorite channels. I love watching all the new and old content. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I'll get my membership set up soon. Look at the options. Oh, no problem, Bella. Take your time. See, Vanderhoof says it was very, very good. The poster that you have sent is on its way from Seattle. So we're hoping it gets here either this week or sometime this weekend. I've been anticipating it. So great guest, Coffindaffer. She's the best. I completely agree too. No need to explain the questions, etc. You did an amazing job. Thank you. You did amazing. Migraines are terrible. Absolutely. Genuine self as Miss Coffiner, and you both meshed together well. Thank you. I thought it was a very professional interview, and that's how I wanted to handle it. DJ is not around. I believe he's in Virginia right now. I saw a comment on the Coffindaffer video today. He's out in Virginia. I think he's got some family there. So rising from the ashes here. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you got the interview. I try to be. All right. So let's get into the show. So we are here for Rex Heuermann. So this is out of Fox News. Fox News today says Atlantic City eastbound strangler probe revived as Gilgo. I'm thinking of Brady Giglio. Gilgo suspect Rex Heuermann's Jersey Shore ties emerge. I'm going to tell you, and I've been saying this for a while, we're hearing South Carolina, we're hearing New Jersey, we obviously know New York, and we know that he had a timeshare in Las Vegas. I think, and I said this, and we're going to pull it up here in a minute. If you didn't see the Coffindaffer interview I had today, we talked at the very end of the show about Rex Heuermann, and I got kind of her take on what she's seeing right now. So I'm going to play that segment here in a second. If you didn't get a chance to see it, we'll pull that up. So going into the article, it says Rex Heuermann's ties to Atlantic City exposed as cops probe unsolved killings in New Jersey, casino town. Now, the pattern here that I'm seeing is prostitutes, that this guy has a thing for prostitutes. And it would only make sense if you look of, where all of this is, taking place. You have New York City, you have the Strip in New Jersey, which would probably bring in that type of company. We've now heard things about Las Vegas. Obviously, we know that prostitutes are in Las Vegas as well. I mean, it's a known fact. And this, to me, and pardon the expression, would be prime pickings for a particular individual like this that is involved in these types of crimes. That's just my opinion. Now, again, Rex Heuermann is arrested right now. He's the prime suspect in, I believe it's 4 murders that are confirmed right now. But I think these ties are going to ultimately go deeper in the end. So it says the arrest of the suspect, Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann, has prompted investigators cross country to re-examine similar cold case murders, including a nearby oceanfront enclave where 4 sex workers were found tied up dead in a sewage ditch in 2006. 2 women walking in a marsh below the row of motels just west of Atlantic City stumbled across a gruesome scene about 50 yards behind them since demolished motel November 21st, 2006. They found the remains of Kim Raffo, 35, and police arrived to discover 3 more women in the same pit. Tracy Ann Roberts, 23, Barbara, I'm sorry, I'm going to get this wrong, Briador, 42, and Molly Dietz, 19. You can see the photo of them here. Like Heuermann's suspect prey, the victims in New Jersey, eastbound strangler, were all believed to be sex workers. They were all posed in the same direction, placed face down in filthy water and barefoot. Far behind the hotel is Atlantic City Expressway, which, similarly to Ocean Park in New York, cuts through marsh grass. Let's see. He's also prime suspect in the slaying of 4 women near Gilgo. I'll get this right. I'm still on Giglio for some reason. The suburban father of 2 turned suspect serial killer also had a timeshare in Las Vegas and property in South Carolina, where police seized an old Chevrolet Avalanche pickup believed to be suspect vehicle in Costello's disappearance. And Heuermann also appears to have ties to Atlantic City. So I'm not going to read too much of the article here. I just wanted to give you basic catch up on what's going on in this case. And it just seems like every single day there's new information coming out. There's new ties to this guy. There's new suspicion that he may be involved in other crimes. And I'm telling you, if this all ends up pointing at this particular individual, he will go down, in my opinion, as one of the most prolific serial killers of all time. And it's starting to look that way. It's starting to look the way when now that law enforcement is starting to connect all these dots together. All right, so let's do this today. If you missed Jennifer Coffindaffer's interview with me, I'm going to pull up just a little bit of a segment here that we had very, very at the end of the show. And we're going to talk a little bit about Rex Heuermann and her thoughts on this particular case. Yeah, we'd love to have you back sometime. Maybe we can have you on again sometime later down the road as we kind of catch up with Kohberger. And there's so many other cases hitting. We know the Long Island serial killer right now is going to become a huge case. If I can just get you real quick before you go.
Sure.
What do you make of this case? If Rex is the person that did this, could this go down, in your opinion, as one of the most prolific serial killers of all time?
Well, we'll see. You know, they have him, I believe, dead to right on 3, and it's going to be 4. They just had to get him off the streets. I think they were really concerned that he was going to pick up somebody else and commit more crime. So they sort of got him when they had to, doing that balancing act. And so, but they'll also charge him, I believe, with number 4. The rest of the 6 that are in Long Island, those bodies, I think some may be related and some are not related.
Wow.
Also, remember, they have not run his DNA through CODIS because of a New York snag where he would have had to be convicted of either a felony or misdemeanor This is what they're saying. We'll see how that all ferrets out, what they end up doing. But they're going to be able to compare him to unsolved cases in South Carolina, Las Vegas, and any other trips he took if they have the specific DNA to turn in. So it's not near as good as CODIS, but it's better than nothing. But I think there's a good chance that he continued to commit crimes. He would have had to find another dumping yard, and I wonder if it was South Carolina. We're going to see.
All right, that is Jennifer Coffindaffer. You can follow her on Twitter. Her Twitter handle is @Coffindaffer FBI. She's a contributor on News Nation as well, as all of you know here. Jennifer, thank you so much for your time today. I do truly appreciate it.
Thank you. Great audience. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was Jennifer Coffindaffer. That was great. It's a great little segment. Really, really great segment. And it was nice to have her let me, kind of sneak that in the end. Again, I wanted to be very respectful to her time. So speaking of Jennifer Coffindaffer, let's hear her on Cuomo and see what she had to say about 7 days ago, about a week ago, as the search expanded in Rex Heuermann to South Carolina and Las Vegas.
Let's bring in former FBI agent and News Nation Law and Justice contributor Jennifer Coffindaffer, and retired FBI agent and profiler and host of the podcast Real Crime Profile, Jim Clemente. All right, so here is the question that we need to answer to kind of drive our perspective on everything we're learning. And I ask it to you first, Jim, but obviously I want Jim and Jen involved in it. Jim, either after the Gilgo 4, he got spooked and went quiet, as some serial killers do, or he had some transition in madness or whatever, or he didn't. And that's why there's so many questions about whether or not the FBI being thrown off the case when the dirty former police chief thought that they were looking into him, details that haven't really made it into the reporting yet. Maybe that cost them opportunity. Jim, what do you think the chance is, and on what are you basing the suggestion on, that 4 were not all?
Well, first of all, Chris, I think the fact that he was collecting torture porn means that he's still engaging in these fantasies, these sexually violent fantasies. This is what turns him on: torture, rape, and murder. So he's only in his 40s and 50s when he committed those, after he committed those crimes. I mean, he was in his late 40s when the bodies were first discovered. So in your 40s and 50s, the sex drive is really still strong. And for him, again, that is torture, rape, and murder. So I believe there is a strong possibility that he wanted to do it. Whether he had access, that's another question. And of course, these other properties gives him more access and another dumping ground.
Well, look, obviously, they got to be thinking something if they're digging around there. Otherwise, they'd just be wasting resources. I want your take on this, Jen, and then I want to get into the facts of the different trucks and what they're doing. But this idea of the former police chief kicked off the FBI, obviously, that was the wrong thing, especially if he was trying to protect himself. The theory is that he had his own past with prostitutes and violence, and maybe the FBI was looking at him for the Gilgo 4, so he got rid of them from the investigation, and what that may have cost them in terms of, more insight into who did this. But they didn't have the technology at the time. They didn't have a lead that was within 100 miles of this guy. So I don't want to put too much emphasis on that. But what is your take on Jim's point about whether or not there could be more and why?
I think there could be more. And when I look at the fact that he had his truck, he kept it. He didn't trade it in. He kept it, and he sequestered it down in South Carolina. Why? Because that truck, in my opinion, meant a lot to him. It reminded him of the murders. It is something he could look at and keepsake down there. What else did he keepsake down there?
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go.
All right. Short clip there with Jennifer Coffindaffer. Just to answer the question, MJC says, truth, did you fangirl a little when you finished the interview? Like, did that just happen? I would have. So my reaction to the interview was this. Literally, as I played my outro, and it's funny, I wish I could have had a camera set up today. I wish I could have caught the backstage stuff too. but literally as I hit the outro, I literally went, yeah, like I literally screamed it out loud because I just felt like it went so good. I didn't have any reservations of how it went. There were a couple of times during the show where I got a little lost in my questioning and I had to tailor it a little bit to kind of try to move on the show quicker. So yeah, like sometime during the podcast, I know a couple of questions I stumbled a little bit, and I kind of was trying to say one question and get it out. It just wasn't coming out the way I wanted to. And I kind of started to tilt the head like, what the fuck is the guy saying? But I ended up recovering and getting through it, which was cool. But yeah, my reaction at the end was basically outro was going out, and I threw my hands up and I went, yeah. And I just got up and felt really good about it. It was a great overall interview. It was really, really good. Let's see. This is going to lead to Fingers Lake. Never even noticed. You did a great job. Thank you. Bella says you look cool as a cool as a cucumber. A cucumber. Yeah, I did. My subs are filling up a little bit. I'm gonna probably relaunch it as a replay to kind of smash that algorithm again. Sometimes the lives fall stagnant, and in YouTube they always say this: it's not what you do right now, it's what your channel is going to do on that video 90 days from now. I've had videos that have just set stagnant for forever, and then all of a sudden it literally picks up like 50,000 views. So I'm going to end up relaunching it at some point as a replay to get back out in that algorithm again. And of course, there's many great segments that I can cut up during that. So I'll end up cutting that up probably over the next week or so and just launching out some mini clips as well too. So yeah, it was really great. And Tsunami, thank you so much for being there and modding today. I really did appreciate that. It was really great. Okay, so let's go into this was a couple of days ago. And we have something from the Law and Crime Network and give you a little bit of detail of where they're at in this case. It was about a day ago. Let's play this.
There is a vault
Levy.
where he secured numerous amount of guns.
Suffolk County's police commissioner separating fact from fiction in the Gilgo Beach murder investigation. We discuss 3 shocking items police have found so far.
Introducing the next generation of pepper spray. Meet Palm, a new.
I am not sponsored. I need to get past that. I cannot play that. All right.
Spray.com.
Killer Rex Heuermann.
Whoops.
They brought in excavators to help in the search as they try to figure out whether any of the murders were committed at his home in Massapequa Park, a 20-minute drive from Gilgo Beach.
Yeah, so I'm not sure who's saying that we knew about the Green Avalanche in 2010. I will say that we came about that information maybe a couple years ago, but we were unable to attach it to the Massapequa box, which I'm sure you're very familiar with.
Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison described the search as fruitful. Heuermann is being held without bail for the murders of Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. He is suspected in a 4th death, the murder of Maureen Brainerd Barnes. Heuermann maintains his innocence and has pleaded not guilty. Joining me to discuss what has been found at the home is Joe Giacalone. He is a retired sergeant with the NYPD and also the author of the new book, The Cold Case Handbook. Joe, welcome back to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me again, Anjanette.
There's the police have been searching this house of Rex Heuermann's in Massapequa Park now for many days, well over a week, almost 2 weeks. They believe they'll be wrapping up their work Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, but that doesn't mean they won't go back. And there have been a number of items found at this house. One that really piqued my interest was this vault in the basement with a heavy iron door and apparently a large number of guns. I don't know, hundreds is what we've kind of heard, but talk to me about why a residential home would contain something like a vault with an iron door, because that just seems like an odd thing to have in your home.
Well, specifically in regards to, any home, but we're hearing numbers anywhere from 200 to 300 guns, right? So the idea of trying to protect those guns might be the reason to have a vault such as this. Most people just have gun lockers, which are, still very heavy, and you could fit a lot of guns in there. But
Mhm.
I guess maybe he didn't want to get 5 or 6 different gun lockers and just wanted one big vault. That could be an answer for it. But I guess we'll find out soon enough as the investigation concludes.
And the police
Oh, thanks,
commissioner,
Ray.
Rodney Harrison, was
Appreciate you.
very careful and very, he wanted to clear this
He's a
up
great
because it
guy.
had been reported over the weekend that it was a soundproof room. And I think people hear that and they think, oh my gosh, there was basically a torture chamber in the basement or something to that effect. And he was very careful to say, look, I think that was misconstrued. It's not a soundproof room, it's a vault with an iron door. Whether or not it's soundproof, we really don't know. But is that an important distinction to make in your mind?
Oh, yes, it is. And I think it's a good idea that the commissioner comes out and tries to be transparent on a couple of these issues, right? You don't want to answer every rumor out there. And you don't want to answer every time somebody posts something, because then it just creates lots of confusion. So this would have been a big deal, right? If this was a soundproof room. So I think getting it out there that this could have been something else, then I think that, I'm all for that kind of information to come out from the police department.
One item that piqued my interest that they seized from the
Oh,
house
thank you.
was a doll in a glass case.
Appreciate you.
And that got us all kind of thinking about how there were apparently dolls left in memory of the victims at these memorials. And this is pure speculation, obviously. But there have been people wondering, is that doll in the glass case a similar
I'd say
brand or
too.
a similar model to the ones found at the memorial from the victims? Why else would you seize something like that? A doll in a glass case?
Well, I think the police department feels the same way about the dolls, right? So we know that it was widely documented that dolls were left at the crime scene, which isn't unusual per se, right? I mean, I've had cases where we've surveilled grave sites of victims, specifically around anniversary dates and the like, just to see if anybody shows up and who shows up. Because sometimes people leave trinkets, some people leave, dolls if it's young women specifically. So the police department knew about this. They saw this doll. I mean, it's nothing I would put in my house, but the issue that comes down to is the police are doing exactly what they should be. They know what's involved in the case already, and when they spot something at the location that could be related, just take it. You can always bring it back later on if it doesn't prove to be anything that's a part of the case.
If you're going into a house like this and you're convinced this is your guy, what are you looking for? Obviously, we hear about people keeping items. There may be trophies if crimes were committed in the house. We have no idea if any of these homicides occurred in the home, but there may be trophies. There could be DNA depending on how clean this house is inside.
Well, they could find a lot of different things inside the house. So yes, they're looking. I mean, they did the storage facilities. They're looking at other locations where he has lived or has a house. So one of the things that you are looking for is anything that belongs to the victims. I know some people like to call them trophies and what have you. It's something that serial killers have done in the past, and it's just something that law enforcement is looking for. It could be just driver's licenses. It could be, personal belongings and those kind of things. Anything that really doesn't belong in the house, that's basically what they're looking for, right? If something is out of place, something looks like it doesn't belong to either the wife or the children, they're going to take it and see exactly if there is any connection. Me personally, don't believe that any of these murders happened at the house. I really don't think so. You just look at the neighborhood that you're living in, very close proximity to other neighbors. Everyone knows he was married. Everyone thought he was strange, right? That's what we're hearing now. So if you brought a young girl into your house and somebody was looking out the window, I think it would be a big issue, and I think we would have heard about it.
The police commissioner has called this search fruitful without going into any detail. He said there have been items that we have taken into our possession, and that makes it fruitful. So in order to seize the items with a search warrant, I mean, you can't just go into the house willy-nilly and take everything. There are items that you have to list that you're looking for that you believe have evidentiary value. When you go into a home, you can't just say, oh yeah, we like this, we like that, we like this. So can you explain how that works?
Sure. When you get a search warrant, right? So you have the probable cause, you go to the judge, they give you a search warrant. It has to be very specific about the location that you're going to search, what you're searching for, and what you intend to find. There's also a document attached to that called a search warrant return in New York State. So the police department has to make a list of everything that was taken, because the judge will take a look at what was asked for and what was taken. Now, there
Yes.
could be exceptions to this, right? So if they find contraband or anything else in plain view or during their search and they find something, they can, of course, seize
Yes.
that too. So there are issues when you're dealing with Fourth Amendment and search warrants, but I think they probably ask for anything that could be connected to these cases, these women in specific, personal items and the like, and also, for instance, they find these guns and you have somebody who's under arrest under the suspicion of this, you can automatically seize those too.
The deck in the backyard of the home was dismantled over the weekend, and heavy equipment was brought in to do some digging. And they've dug up that entire backyard. It reminds me almost of John Wayne Gacy and the crawl space underneath his home. They're leaving no stone unturned when going through this home and the property.
Exactly, right. So they brought in cadaver dogs, they brought in the ground penetrating radar. And at that point, I think they made the right decision. Just excavate the entire yard, what you're looking for. Lots of neighbors have said that he was burning garbage and doing
So
some.
stop this for a second. Can you imagine being a neighbor in that neighborhood? Oh my God. What a nightmare. Especially living next to this guy and then now having probably like over 100 police officers on that property day and night processing. There's probably generators running to get power. It's just insane. Really, really. Oh, excuse me. Look at all the people. Gosh.
Some other odd things in regards to that. So I think it was definitely worthy of an excavation because you're not supposed to be burning garbage, especially close proximity to other houses. So that kind of stands out in everybody's mind. But like everything else, you're there to do a job, do it right the first time because you don't get a second chance to do it, right? So you can hold that crime scene as long as you want, and once you release it, it's kind of gone. There's really no going back after that.
More than 200 guns in the home. That's probably startling to some people. We don't know if this guy, Heuermann, is a gun enthusiast or maybe his wife even is a collector of guns. We have no idea. There are many questions that remain unanswered here.
Right?
Does this tell you anything, having 200, 300 guns?
I'll do a follow-up.
Not really. I mean, on Long Island, there are a number of gun enthusiasts. There's a number of gun ranges. There are a lot of places that, people can go and do this. And some people enjoy it as a hobby, right? I mean, that doesn't mean that, I'm sure a lot of people saying, oh my God, 200 or 300 guns. It depends on, what he was into doing. I mean, I really don't know anything about the man. And, I could say that, 300 guns is an awful lot to own. And it's not unusual, though. We have lots of people that own a tremendous amount of guns. I mean, they've already had the statistics to show.
In New York, do you have to register guns? I know that there are different laws in different states regarding possession of firearms.
Well, and specifically, it's county related in New York State, right? So in Long Island, Nassau and Suffolk County, for long guns, like shotguns and rifles and the thing, you can just go into the store and buy them with a driver's license. Handguns are also require permits. You have to go to the Nassau County Police Department or the Suffolk County Police Department and apply for a permit and the like. So they haven't told us the exact type of guns, but I would imagine that they're mostly long guns.
There's also been some reporting that the crime scene investigators removed a portrait of a woman with a bruised face and a mirror. What evidentiary value could either of those items hold?
Well, once again, right, so it's something that you won't find in just about any other household. It just piqued probably interest, and it would have piqued my interest, of course. I think investigators took it and for the reason to see if this person is a real person, or it's not a painting or anything like that somebody drew, or so it's just something that they're going to look at, see if it matches up in any other cases. I know, the internet went wild with this, and they're trying to attach people to the case and from different states, but I think right now we need to be patient specifically with that kind of evidence and see. I wish the police department would try to hide some of that stuff as they were taking it out because it led to a lot of speculation online.
And a filing cabinet was also removed. That doesn't, to me at least, not a big deal. There may be records they need to look through. There may be other items in there that they just look at. A little bit of restraint would probably help because we don't want to feed the fire. We want the real factual information out there.
Exactly, right. So I'm sure they also zoned in on any computers or laptops or any other electronic devices, including the router, right? The router is a very important part of these investigations. A lot of people, even police departments, sometimes skip that router and when they're taking evidence in regards to electronic crimes, but it is a real important aspect of it because it tells you which computer was hooked up to a specific time when something was downloaded or accessed. And we know that the individual who was picking up women off of websites, whether it was, I think it was at the time was Backpage and then Craigslist, you want to make sure that you can actually prove that, and you can do so if you have the right router and computer.
Most definitely. Well, Joe Giacalone, retired NYPD sergeant, thank you so much as always for coming on. We appreciate your time and your expertise.
Thanks for having me again.
That's
I love Anjanette Levy. She's great. She always has great guests on her channel. All right, Brian Enton. Let's see what he says. Love Brian. I think I'm going to try to get Brian Enton on the show. I'll work on that. Let you guys know. All right. I don't know if it's going to work, though, because he probably has contractual agreements with News Nation, but might be worth a try. Might be worth a try. All right. Let's see what Brian has to say.
Being solved. There are the 7 other bodies found in Gilgo Beach, but there are also several unsolved cases in other states that are now getting a second look because of the similarities with the Heuermann case. In Atlantic City, for example, we've been talking about it. 4 sex workers were strangled and dumped in 2006. The New Jersey State Police say they are now looking into any possible connections to Heuermann. If any are found, that would obviously be a very, very big deal. Only a few names have come up during the investigation, most notably Terry Olson, the man we just talked about with his lawyer, a handyman who lived and worked at the motel where the 4 bodies were found. He was questioned by police, voluntarily even gave a sample of his DNA. In 2017, he returned to the Golden Key Motel as part of an 8-part docuseries called The Killing Season. Take a look at this.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip by this so I don't get nailed with a copyright.
Samples for women. Interview we just did. I'm joined by Josh Zeman, an investigative reporter and very popular documentary filmmaker. He's the executive producer and director of The Killing Season, currently available on Hulu. Thanks for being with us, Josh. Amazing work right there.
Cool. That's good to know.
I'm curious what you think, since you were out there with him. We just heard from the lawyer. I mean, do you think Terry could possibly be responsible?
No, not at all. He's volunteered his DNA. He's given so much information. As Mr. Leonard said, this was 16 years ago, and he's been so forthright. I actually feel horrible.
How are you?
For Terry Leonard.
Tanya was having a great show earlier. She followed up on Carly Russell. I'm probably going to do another one of those soon. But she had like almost 500 people in there tonight. This is really good. This is a really good job. And you know what? Now that Tanya's here, I just want to talk about it. But I did talk about it at the beginning of the stream. Tanya, I want to thank you today for your help and just really being my rock today. You and Laura. The first person I did call was Laura because she's been my buddy forever. So ever since the channel, that's how I got to know her. But I reached out to Laura today. I said, I have Coffindaffer. Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't have any questions. I'm not prepared. I need to be prepared by 5. She's like, don't worry, you're going to be fine. She threw some questions at me, and it kind of gave me a catalyst to where I was going to go in the interview. And then the second person I reached out was Tanya, because Tanya's been really a good YouTuber friend of mine, and a friend. She's being my friend now. And, I consider her a friend, and not just a YouTuber, but a friend. We're getting to know each other on that level. We've talked on the phone a couple of times, but I called her today and I said, oh my God, I was trying to keep the cat in the bag, but I had to lean on another YouTuber in that moment and just say, what do I do? I don't know what to do. And she's like, calm down. You're going to be fine. Like, if anybody, you can put this together. And she said, I'm here for you if you need anything. And so again, it was really great, and we had a good time with it. At about 3 o'clock, just before 3 o'clock, I haven't heard anything from Jennifer yet, and I literally had to get out of the house. I left the house for like an hour and a half. I'm like trying to wind myself down, and I sent Tanya a text, and I took a picture on my screen, and I was showing the message, and it said I was just trying to confirm the time with Jennifer again. I said, what did I say? Patiently waiting. She said, "You're going to be fine. She's going to respond. Don't worry." And then literally at like 3:30, Jennifer responded. And I was like, holy shit, this is going to happen. And I didn't want to post the tile until everything was locked up. So that's great. Tanya, thank you so much. You were great today and really helped me out. Got me through it. And she's like, "You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine." And she was hitting up her social media and trying to get people into the chat. I know she did some TikToks for me. I'm not on TikTok. I know she posted on her community page, and it's just really great. It's really great to have that friendship with another creator. You are very, very close to 10,000, and I just looked at your number. I think you're at 95.5. What do you need? Like less than 500 people? Let us know in the chat, because we're going to keep sending people over there. And then when you do the 10,000 subscriber stream, let me know. I will be there to support. I'll jump on the panel. And I just want to congratulate you. So let us know. All right. Let's 49 away. Oh my God. You're going to hit 10,000 in like a day. I know you are. Especially with that video you just did with the 500 people in there. It's going to get a lot of lift. So you hit the right topic at the right time, and your title for your video was amazing, by the way. So keep doing that. You're going to get there. And then hopefully I have 8,000 this week, and then maybe in a couple more weeks I hit 10,000. We come over and do the celebration stream here. So anyway, let's play through this video,
because he lives in this purgatory where all people always will believe that he may have done it, because the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office refuses to say that he's not a suspect. And this is just another example, unfortunately, of missing the ball in this case.
Yeah, you got to feel for the guy. I mean, just living as a person of interest, that just sounds so miserable. What do you make of the possibility of a Rex Heuermann connection? I mean, you know the case very, very well. Do you see the similarities? Do you think it could be a possibility?
I mean, on its face, there is a lot of similarities. We're talking about sex workers in both cases, Gilgo Beach and in the Eastbound Strangler case, we're talking about 4 women. And that's a big detail that both sides have kind of glommed onto, all found kind of together in some respects, and all found close to water. And Long Island is not that far away from Atlantic City. At the same time, it's really quite different. Rex stalked his victims. He got them from numerous different places. I think what we now know from the Eastbound Strangler case, they all kind of came from the Golden Key Motel. So a lot of similarities, but enough differences that I'm not sure. One thing we do know is that very recently, or at least, not officially, the police have said, no, these 2 cases aren't connected.
Interesting. I mean, I was thinking about this today. It took 13 years for them to arrest someone in the Gilgo Beach case. So many people gave up hope. So many of the victims' families thought that it would never be solved. The police weren't doing anything. And then they have this task force that comes together at the last second and figures this whole thing out. Do you think that this could bring hope in the Atlantic City case? I mean, do you think it could actually be solved at some point?
That's a great question. When Rex Heuermann was arrested, I was shocked. I never thought the amount of time that I looked into this case, the kind of way that it was mishandled in the beginning, I thought basically the case was so tainted that it would never be solved. And when it did, I was shocked. I was also extremely happy, especially for the victims' families. They deserve justice. These women, while sex workers, that doesn't really mean anything. Everybody deserves justice.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
It does give me hope for the Eastbound Strangler case. One thing that was unique to Long Island, there was a lot of pressure, whether it was our documentary, whether it was a number of podcasts, whether it was...
Man, he's a big guy, huh? Wow. He is tall. Woo.
Whether it was a number of podcasts.
Imagine the strength from that guy. Woo. He is tall.
Podcasts, whether it was the narrative film Lost Girls that was out on Netflix, every couple of years there would be some sort of push for this case to get solved. And I'm not sure that really's been happening in the Eastbound Strangler case.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess
Summer.
we can just hope because again, people lost hope in Long Island, and now we see the way that turned out. Hopefully the same thing can happen in Atlantic City. Josh, it's such a pleasure to have you. The Killing season is so good and so well done. I highly recommend everybody check it out. Hopefully we can have you on again soon, Josh. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you for watching.
All right. All right, we got one more video here, and then we're going to wrap up this podcast. From Fox Live Now.
The Suffolk County Police Department, New York State Police, Suffolk County Sheriff's Office, and FBI, who all of whom participated in one way or the other with regard to the search. You know, other than that, I don't have anything else to say. But I'm more than willing to take questions. Anybody have questions?
Is there any indication that any woman was killed here in the house?
So there's no, I don't believe at this time that we can say one way or the other. Either evidence does not point either one way or the other. I would say that we have obtained a massive amount of material, all of which has to be cataloged and analyzed, and it's going to take quite some time.
So just a quick follow-up. If a victim's DNA turned up on material in the house, would that indicate perhaps that she was killed here?
So I'm not going to talk about what ifs, but with regard to what, if anything, was recovered, it's not like TV. It's going to be a while for the analysts to do their job. Now it goes from here to trace section, and then to if appropriate, the DNA section. So that's a process.
Yesterday, the police commissioner said that the search was fruitful. Can you elaborate on any of the potential evidence taken from here?
I think what he's referring to is the amount of evidence, which is quite a lot, and now it's up to the job of the task force to go through that evidence. And we that's a process, and we need to do that process, but we won't know exactly what we have for quite some time, because just given the sheer volume of evidence that was taken.
One of the other news outlets caught drone footage of what looked like burnt bones in the backyard. Could you share anything?
I can tell you that there was ground piercing technology used in the backyard, and specifically there was nothing of note taken from the backyard as far as remains. There is a whole entire trace analysis that we have to go through with the house with regard to hair fibers, DNA, blood, which we'll just have to await the results on. The house in general was cluttered, and there were a lot of guns taken from the house. The defendant had 92 handgun permits. In addition to handguns, he had quite a few long guns as well.
Are there any other properties?
There's a number of locations which we've searched, but we'll keep that to ourselves for now.
Okay, this has been entered into a national database. The suspect's DNA likely was entered into a national database, state database. Is there any hit with any other unsolved case so far?
So, with regard to state and national DNA databases, there are specific rules with that under New York and federal law. Usually that only happens when you have a convicted.
It's interesting, and I'm going to pause the video here for a second. That was something that Jennifer and I talked about today at the end of the podcast that we had today, and she said that there's some snag that's going on in the in New York over the CODIS. I found it very interesting, though. The guy that's talking kind of turned back over his shoulder and looked at someone like, you're not supposed to talk about that. I wonder if they did get hits to DNA and they're just not announcing it yet. I think they want to build this case and not break anything to the press just at this moment, because I think there may be a lot more going on. We'll rewind it and listen to that again.
Is there any unsolved case so far?
So, with regard to
You
state,
can see his body language there turns a little bit. He kind of has a pause, like he wanted to say something but wasn't able to talk about it. Let's play that and watch this.
Case so far.
So, with regard to state and national DNA
And he's
databases,
stuttering.
there are specific rules with that under New York and federal law. Usually that only happens when you have a convicted person is convicted of a crime. As far as specifically the database, his DNA has not been entered in that database.
What among the evidence really jumps out? I mean, it's not there's something that just stands out among all the rest. What stands out?
We're going to wait. I mean, I think everyone wanted that singular piece of evidence, but
Something's going on.
we're going to wait until we see all the evidence. But I don't think there's one thing that really jumps out at us at this juncture.
Was there a mattress found in the vault?
I'm sorry.
Is there any indication from the evidence of other victims?
We're our investigation, focused on.
Started stuttering a lot there after that DNA question. You notice that?
Gilgo 4. We're going to continue to investigate that case and prepare that case for trial. And we have our investigation now has become public, obviously, and also it's broadened. So we're going to look at the other instances where bodies were recovered in that area as well.
Forensic testing continuing on Maureen Bernard Barnes, and who is conducting it, and what do you know?
Investigation is continuing with regard to Maureen Brainerd Barnes, as well as other aspects of the case, and that's being done in the grand jury or through the grand jury process. So I can't talk about that more than that. It's being there is testing going on with regard to the hairs that were mentioned in the bail letter.
Just to clarify, he's not convicted yet. He's not convicted yet. So to clarify, are you not allowed to put his DNA into databases until after a conviction?
Under New York state law, that's correct.
Are you any closer to filing charges in that fourth case?
We're working towards
There's the hang up. Let's rewind that.
There is testing going on with regard to the hairs that were mentioned in the bail letter.
Just to clarify, he's not convicted yet. He's not convicted yet. So to clarify, are you not allowed to put his DNA into databases until after a conviction?
Under New York state law, that's correct.
Are you any closer to filing charges in that fourth case?
We're working towards that, and once our investigation is continuing.
Can you tell us what else?
I would say what it is, but I'm not going to get into a political war here tonight. Just use your brain. That's why. That's the answer. I know what it is.
The house
Starts with an L.
Could be categorized as cluttered. So there is a great deal of stuff that was recovered. So we're just going to have to go through it. But it's the list of items is quite large.
Inside the vault or inside the house in general? In other words, was there anything besides the firearms found in the vault?
I'm not going to specifically talk about where everything was recovered in the house until all of the pictures and the reports have been gone over.
DA, I need to storage area or people actually enter it?
It was a large enough area for people to enter, but like the rest of the house, it was cluttered.
I need to clarify something.
Like a border situation? Was it how cluttered was it?
It was a cluttered. There was a lot of just boxes and it was a very cluttered, I would say, environment.
DA, I need to clarify something, please. Because he's not convicted, can you not check his DNA against the 6 other people found along Ocean Parkway?
I didn't say that.
That's what I'm trying to clarify.
Yeah, you asked me about the database. The database is national, and that has I am not the members of our task force are not the guardians of that database. But with what we can do with regard to our own investigation is completely different. So you can't one doesn't necessarily have to do with the other. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I came in a little late. Were any human remains found?
No. Well, what I would say is we're still going over the trace evidence, but they were asking about with regard to the excavation in the back if there were any large items of evidence recovered, and the answer to that question is no.
Was there any evidence in the backyard of things being
Or
burned?
an alleged crime scene?
I'm sorry?
Do you consider this home a crime scene or an alleged crime scene at this point?
I consider this a home in which we execute a search warrant.
Was there any evidence in the backyard of things being burned?
I can't specifically say one way or the other.
Can you tell us what led up to the decision then to excavate? Was there any tangible cause, or was it routine?
So there was ground technology that was able to see through the ground, and there were a number of disturbances that were found in the ground. But until you dig it up, you don't know what it is.
What do you mean by this? How would you?
Like a disturbance could be like a cistern or a branch or a bicycle, anything that's buried under the ground. You could see the impression of it, but you don't necessarily know what it is until you dig it up.
And then where does the investigation stand with the number of sex workers who now say they were contacted by them?
So when we started our investigation, we did it through the grand jury. That investigation was we wanted to maintain the secrecy of the grand jury investigation. Obviously, now that there's been an arrest, it's become public. So we are interviewing a great many people.
Is there a number more than two at this point who have said that you contacted?
We're interviewing a great many people, but we're going to keep what our conversations, what if any conversations we have with our witnesses between us and the witnesses.
These witnesses are coming from different states.
I'm sorry?
Are these witnesses coming from different states?
I don't think that this investigation is limited to New York State, certainly.
Regarding the Chevy avalanche, you have often spoken about March 14, 2022 as being the watershed moment. You were able to identify him as a suspect. There's been a lot of talk in the last 12 days about clues missed early on, like that this car wasn't looked at. I mean, can you explain why that may have happened?
So I think we laid it out pretty extensively in our bail letter. For us, for our task force, our task force started February 1st, 2022. 6 weeks later, we had identified this individual as a target, and we talked about a number of factors which allowed us to do that. The hairs that we spoke about, the 5 hairs note with regard to the bodies, those were recovered shortly after the bodies were recovered in December of 2010. With regard to the phone evidence, that work was done and completed by the FBI in early 2012, and and with regard to the avalanche, that information was made available shortly after the disappearance of Amber Costello. But again, when you look at everything, that is three items that are in and amongst thousands of items. So I think retrospectively, it's kind of simple to look at, but when you're looking at everything, all the evidence at once, it's an enormous undertaking, and that's why to guarantee success, you bring in really talented investigators from a whole bunch of different agencies. You use the resources of those agencies, and you work together on a daily basis.
But people in this neighborhood who say it was more than a year, so March of 2022, you made a point of saying that in court. But the people we interview in the neighborhood who say, well, okay, it was a year, more than a year, and then he's living through all that. What do you say to the residents?
Well, I'm saying to the residents that a 13-year-old cold case doesn't get solved in a matter of weeks or days. The DNA evidence in and of itself was a very lengthy, arduous process, which required the cooperation of a number of agencies, and unfortunately, these things take time. Also, the grand jury process in New York State, in order to charge somebody, you need to charge them, and you need to, in a case of this nature, with the different moving parts, you need to go into the grand jury, and unfortunately, that doesn't happen overnight.
Was there a mattress?
I'm sorry? There were a number of items of evidence, but I'm not going to specifically say where any one item of evidence was found in the house.
They're huge.
No guns were returned to the home. To my knowledge, we all of the guns that were recovered, we're talking about 283.
Exactly.
About approximately 279 weapons were recovered. They're being categorized. Some may not some may not be complete
Jen.
weapons. Some may not
Appreciate you.
Be able to be defined as a weapon under New York State law. But suffice to say, there was quite a few weapons found in the house.
What's preventing you right now from bringing charges to the court?
Just going to pause for a second. I'm only 10 subscribers away from 7,900. I'm hoping to get to 8,000 by this weekend. We'll have to see. And then get to 10,000. It'd be really fun. It'd be really exciting. 10,000, that's a good number. Us little YouTubers trucking on.
So we informed the family. Obviously, they're represented by counsel. So we've spoken to counsel.
And they intend to return to the
Would they be
allowed to?
That would be a question for their counsel. And
Will they be allowed to?
once the
see that burlap sack that they pulled? That's crazy. And then the Adidas shoe. This is crazy. I think, like I said, this guy's going to go down as probably one of the most prolific serial killers of all time. Seriously, it's a very interesting case. It just spans into multiple states. There's multiple victims. I mean, this is going to be what they need to do is to get him to talk. If they can get him to talk, then that's really going to help. It's going to help find all these victims.
Once we've withdrawn.
That's the burlap, yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
There's no indication.
But I don't know, Tsunami. The way I look at it is, look at the type of women, if he did this, that he was preying on. They were prostitutes. They were probably known drug users. They weren't very strong. He could overpower them very easily. So, a guy would be a lot of challenging. But, I mean, Dahmer wasn't really a particular big guy, very skinny, but he was very strong. So, all right, let's keep playing on.
Specifically that they had knowledge. And as we said in our bail letter, during the commission of the 3 latter murders of Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello, they specifically were out of the state and traveling during the time of those 3 victims.
That's going to be a while. It's going to be a while.
Bizarre about the stuff that dug up over the house itself. I mean, what stood out to you about this that might, in a sense, reveal something in the character of the alleged?
I don't. We as prosecutors and investigators, we don't really deal in like feelings or we deal in facts. So what we've done is we've acquired a lot of information. So what we're going to do now is what we've been doing all along is we're going to work with our partners. We're going to go through that material and we're going to see what, if any, way it fits into the case.
About how many pieces of evidence was it?
Oh God, it's a tremendous amount of information that was I'll say this, a tremendous amount of information that was derived in conjunction with the searches incident to arrest.
God, he's a big guy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Again,
right.
we're going once we complete
keep
the
that
process.
fire going.
We're going to we're going to have further word with regard to that. But what you have to understand is we were looking for tangible items of evidence as well as trace evidence, including blood and DNA and hair fibers and the like. And when you talk about something like that, that is a process that it takes a while for that process to be analyzed by the experts. So that's going to take a while.
That means that the possibility that the murders occurred here. Have you ruled out that?
We haven't ruled in or ruled out anything with regard to that.
Did you find any trophies?
That means that.
Oh, that lady's voice is annoying. Did you find any trophies?
Maybe there was some blood droppings.
Well, as I said, that we look for trace evidence. And that we have, that is a process that is a scientific process that is done in a lab, and we just haven't had the time to go through that process. So it's incomplete. So you can't say anything more than it's incomplete.
Did you find anything that would be characterized?
Were all of them related to firearms, or was there another type of weapon?
We're talking. I'm specifically talking about what would commonly be referred to as a firearm.
No other strange weapons.
No, and the only reason why I sort of hedge with that is because under New York state law, like a black powder, what the public would say that's a gun. Well, under New York state law, that might not necessarily qualify as a weapon, or under federal law certainly. I have nothing to provide with regard to the brother's house in South Carolina. I have no information. I have no comment with regard to what's going on in South Carolina. It's not my jurisdiction. We are for all intents and purposes done with the search.
When is all this
Very soon.
Okay.
That's we're going to rely on the Suffolk County crime lab to
Good night,
they're going
Lakota.
to
Have a
do
good
it,
night. We're going to end this up in a couple minutes anyway.
They deem appropriate,
I'm
but
tired.
as far as the search of the house, for all intents and purposes, that has been concluded.
And were the floorboards removed at any point?
I'm not going to get into the specifics with regard to the search, but we were looking for trace evidence.
Is that for August 1st?
I'm sorry?
Is that when we can expect them in court next? August 1st?
Correct.
And when can we expect that court date? We'll learn more about the evidence or anything else?
We're going to be, that's just the first conference after the arraignment. So
It was a long
just
day.
a typical court conference. We're going to talk about discovery, providing the voluminous discovery in this case. That process is going to start. As a matter of right, defendant has a right to a bail hearing. So we'll see what happens with regard to that.
Has any of the evidence you discovered at the house led you to a theory on the manner of death?
Other than what we've said at the time of arraignment, no.
Oh, it's good for
And
you
the
to be
cause
here.
of death with regard to the three
Thank you.
victims has been categorized as homicidal violence.
Did you find any trophies? You had spoken about potentially looking for trophies.
We're not going to specifically talk about
Thank you, Summer.
specific items of evidence until everything's been cataloged and gone over. As we said, there is quite a lot of stuff.
Would anything discovered at the property lead your agents to feel emotionally moved or psychologically, shifted?
I think that we have a job to do, and we're also human beings. But I think that I would commend all of the examiners for their
Tammy, it's
professionalism.
very nice of you.
Is it accurate to say the public
Thank you.
may never know if he's guilty, how he killed them, because it's been so long that went by?
I think we have to let the process work out.
I'm sorry, could you tell me, is there going to be a search by Gilmore Beach or Europe, Ocean Parkway? Anything happening over there?
So we don't announce our searches before we do them. So we just can't make a comment as to specific areas, if any, to be searched. All right.
Where was this vault in the home, and was it sort of thing to walk into?
It was big enough to walk into, and it was in the basement.
I'm going to tell you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
That vault, I'm pretty sure they're going to find that something happened in those vaults. I mean, you're big enough to walk in there. Come on. There's got to be something going on. But with that being said, we've reached the end of the show this evening. I'm going to get off here and prep for tomorrow night's show, get some sleep. I got a long day at work, and then come home and do the show tomorrow. Before you all run out of here, let me do this. This is the link to the interview with Jennifer Coffindaffer. If you haven't read that yet, you see how tired I am. If you haven't watched that yet, go over and watch it. It's a great interview. Please like the video and leave a comment. All that activity on there is going to keep pushing that out in the algorithm. Tomorrow night at 6 p.m., I'm going to do a premiere replay of it. So it won't be live, but it will be a premiere replay. And I'm going to replay the hour, and then I'll be back tonight. I'm so tired. I'll be back tomorrow night at 9:15. So before I'm on, go over and check out Tanya's channel. She had almost 500 people in there. I think by tomorrow, she's going to text me and say, I hit 10,000 subscribers. And well-deserved. You deserve it. I'm in support of you. And then we're going to figure out a 10,000 subscriber stream for Tanya and go over and support her. But I'm going to get some sleep. Go over, please, 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 please watch the video from today. It was a great interview. And then I'm going to replay it tomorrow at 6 p.m. if you want to catch it on the replay, or just go in there and, you know, on the premiere, you can still live chat and have conversation there. So that's going to be it. Tomorrow night, I think I'm going to come back and do Carly Russell tomorrow night and do some updating on that. We now see that she has admitted to lying. I think there's going to be some more information in that as well. And then this week, I think Saturday night, the Super Show, we're going to do a Koberger show on Saturday Night Live. I'll probably play some sections from the Coffindaffer interview on there. So you guys want to do that. And of course, we're going to take live calls on the Koberger show. You know that on Saturday. So that's kind of the week lineup. I do owe my members a members only chat as well. So I'm going to plan that. Maybe we'll just do a members only stream. What's tomorrow? Thursday? Tomorrow's Thursday. Maybe Friday. I just do a members only stream and we just do a plethora of topics. Maybe I can get Tanya over here on Friday and we'll do like a members only with me and Tanya. Or I know what we could do. Why don't we do an hour if Tanya's still in the room? Friday night, let's plan it like this. I'll go do an hour with her at 8. What's my schedule? Shit, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Look at my schedule. Tanya, hang on. Don't run out of here yet. Let's figure something out. Let's do a cool stream. Let's do this. What's my schedule on Friday? Or we can do it Saturday if Tanya's around. Look at my schedule. Tanya, you still here? Hang on. We can figure something out. We're gonna do Super Show. Okay. Shit, Friday's gonna be bad for me. Are you around on Saturday? You here? Are you gonna go out on Saturday? You doing anything on Saturday? Because I'm gonna say we can do an hour on your show on Saturday, because I'm sure you're gonna have your 10,000 subscriber stream. All right, why don't we do this? Saturday night at 8 o'clock, we'll do an hour on Tanya's show. And we'll boost it. We'll put it on the community page. We're going to do an hour with Tanya. Maybe we'll do some Koberger over there. And then what we'll do is we'll drop the link and get everybody to come over here at 9 o'clock. We'll do Super Show over here on Saturday night. And Tanya and I will take live calls. Does that sound good? Tanya, does that sound good? Yeah, I don't go out either. Why don't you do this? And we'll get the links. We'll get the links up soon. So I'll work on that tomorrow. I'm probably going to take Friday off, get some rest. I'll set up the stream. Let's do that. So we'll do 8 o'clock or 8:15 on Tanya's channel at 5. That's probably going to be the 10,000 subscriber celebration stream. And then we're going to cross stream and we're going to go over here on my channel after, you know, an hour. And we'll go do an hour over here and we'll just take live calls for Koberger. Sound good? I think it's a great show. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. Oh, man, that Coffindaffer interview was fantastic today. And I'm so glad that you all were in there. Super, super, super productive stream. Tomorrow night, go check Tanya out. I'll be back after her show at 9:15 to do a Carly Russell. Probably going to take Friday off this week just to rest a little bit. And then we're going to do the Super Shows on Saturday, 8:15 p.m., Titanium Built. That's probably going to be the 10,000 subscriber celebration stream. And then we're going to come back over here at 9:15, and we'll do a Koberger stream and take live calls. Okay. Thanks, everybody. That's going to be a power-packed weekend. You're not going to want to miss that. I'm going to get out of here. You guys all have a good night. Make sure you watch that Coffindaffer video. I need all the likes and views I can get on it. All right. Have a good night. Bye, guys.